Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to an amazing Tuesday session. I'm wearing my bright orange shirt today in celebration of the fall. I told a friend here that you have to be in the right mood to wear a really bright orange. You just have to own it. And I'm really hoping today that I can do it because what I want to share today is a little bit last minute, but it deserves an orange shirt. So sometimes with the kinds of communications that we get here at Usuli, you really need a bit of humor, patience, and heart. And so I'm going to present 3 examples of where you need each of those. So this is the first one that I felt required a little bit of humor. You know, a lot of times when people write to the sheikh, they are, send a really lovely message that's really properly, respectful. They say, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I pray you're well. I know you're really busy and I'm sorry to trouble you. They usually say something nice. And they say, I have a question for you, and if you can get to it, I really appreciate it. And, it's just a very decent message, as you would expect. So here's one that we got this morning. Dear Sheikh, kindly answer me to your question. How much of the law changes based on circumstances? That's it. So, there's part of me that just wants to, get on and pretend to be Sheikh. So I figured the best way is just to answer it here, and that's just to say, how much of the law changes based on circumstances? A lot. Okay. So the second example that requires patience, I'm just going to put on my scarf if you don't mind. All right. Humor, yes, humor here too. Assalamu alaikum, sister. While Dr. Abul Fadl is a knowledgeable scholar, many Muslims are not taking Grace seriously because they believe that her knowledge is superficial, since she does not she's not modest in her personal attire. Now, I'm sure it's the orange, not the scarf. For many Muslims, this is important. Perhaps if you wear a scarf and have loose clothing, you may entice more people to watch your channel. Perception matters when you are trying to attract followers. I believe this is a reason why your channel has such a low number of subscribers and followers. One cannot be rigid and inflexible because of their belief that modest attire does not matter. Something to ponder about if you want your institute to grow and gain more followers and donations. Tradition and perception matters. She's not going to know the answer to my question, or to her question. We are not really necessarily looking for followers. We're looking for critical thinkers and people who are not afraid to challenge the status quo, use their God-given brain and intellect, and be able to listen to a woman whether she's wearing a scarf or not a scarf. So I've talked about this in other things, and I'm sorry to be sort of, maybe disrespectful in my response, but what we do here really does require some exertion of intellect, and it's not for everyone. And if I offend you because I don't wear a scarf, then maybe this channel is really not for you. So I hope that's not the case, because I think what we do here is extremely important. I think that people need to be reconnected to the Quran, and in order to do that, it requires hard work. It requires patience. It requires looking beyond the superficial and delving deep into what really matters. And so I invite you to join me in doing that, whether I wear a scarf or not. So anyway, but I think I shared a link. This was a comment on YouTube. So I shared a link there for a previous excerpt that we posted that addressed this very issue, because I do get this question a lot, like, why is she immodest? Why is she not wearing a scarf? All of this kind of thing. And it's a complicated issue. The Sheikh has talked about it, and I invite you to not just think of it superficially, but actually to delve into the evidence behind it and do some thinking and recognize that it's between a woman and her God. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Lastly, okay, so we did humor and patience, and heart. So the last one is, this is the one, I got a really, really beautiful message from someone, and I struggled with whether or not I should talk about this here. And I think because I'm fortunate that I'm not a scholar, I have some leeway to just share an opinion. And this is from convert to someone who is considering conversion. So he wrote me a really nice message, first asking if this was a safe space to ask a question. This was a question that came through our website. And so I wrote him back and I said, yes, it absolutely is a safe space. One of the things that we are very clear about in our values, which we have posted on the website, is that there is no embarrassment in religion, and there is nothing more important than being able to question every aspect about your faith, because this is the most important thing that you should hold dear to your heart. And if something doesn't sit right with you, you have every single right to ask a question, and you should ask a question of someone who's knowledgeable, someone who's a scholar, who can answer that appropriately. And I'm proud of the fact that here in this space, we've touched upon a lot of very controversial topics, and we don't do it, superficially or without a lot of thought and background, or, evidence and tradition. So, but okay, so I wrote him back. He said, "Thank you for your kind message." Oh, that's me. He said, "I'm especially." He said, I'm very familiar with the Usuli content. I particularly love your videos on converts and your own experiences, which I found very moving and have turned to in times of doubt in my beliefs. I already spend a lot of time watching your channel, and I'm using the halakas for further guidance after I read each surah of the Quran. Let me take this time to thank you and the doctor for your incredible efforts in illustrating the profundity of the Quranic message, even as far away from people such as myself as you are. I believe I am on a path to one day accepting Islam in my heart, but as a person of conscience and having led, to the best of my ability, a morally conscious life up until now, there are things that I must reconcile with Islamic theology and teachings if I am to accept the faith. I hope this is not inappropriate to ask. As a person of faith and one who recognizes the beauty of the Islamic message as touching my soul on a primordial and natural level, how can I reconcile what the majority of Muslim thought espouses on the permissibility of homosexual relationships? As I said, I have lived until now a moral person, and I cannot, understanding natural phenomena as they are, comprehend how such relationships could be sinful. I have queer friends I love very much, and it hurts me to think they would attribute judgment on my part onto them because of a teaching within the faith I believed in. I don't expect a comprehensive answer, nor do I expect anyone to alter their beliefs just to quell the angst of a curious, if not simply naive person as I may be. But in any case, from everything you've said online, I've always felt as though I would have asked such questions in person to you all if I were not so far away. I suppose I just want to know if this is a normal question of conscience from someone wanting to come into the faith. Anytime you have to answer this is really appreciated. So, I'm not a scholar, obviously, I've said many times, and I cannot answer that question from a theological perspective, although the Sheikh has touched upon this issue in a number of excerpts and a number of videos. And so I would definitely recommend that you search those up and you look at that, look at those responses, which I think are really beautiful. It's obviously a very controversial topic and a very divisive topic. And I think really what I just wanted to say is to share my opinion from the heart, because obviously I have recently come to know more and more people who identify quite shamefully as homosexual. It's not something that they would necessarily say because they come from Muslim families, or they understand that this is something you just don't admit out in the open. And I think that some of these people are the most pure and beautiful souls I have ever met, and would put any Muslim to shame when I look at their beauty, their passion, their kindness, generosity, everything beautiful about what God has created in a person. And I feel honored to call some of these people my very dear friends. And so for me, everything that I know and have learned in these halakas, and everything that I've always believed in about my God, is that this is a God of love and mercy and kindness and generosity and fairness and beauty, and for all of the different qualities that I imagine in a beautiful person, I could not imagine that I could just turn to someone and say, you're homosexual and therefore you're evil and you're horrible and you can doom yourself to hell, and that this is not something that is allowed in our religion, and so therefore you should be doomed to a life of misery. God created you that way, and who knows why, and you should just suffer the rest of your life. That just is not consistent with what I know to be my God. I'm not a theologian. I don't know the answer. I don't know why. I can't answer anything, but I just know from my own heart that that's just not the God that I believe in. I understand this is a complicated issue left for people who can handle these kinds of issues, but for every queer person that I know, I don't know if even that's the right term, but every person that I know, it's not my business what their sexuality is. My business is what kind of a person that person is. Is that person moral? Is that person kind, beautiful? Am I proud to call them my friend? And if I am, I will love them with my whole heart and do everything that I can to support and love that person, whether they're Muslim or not. So, and I would not allow, and this is like, again, we know from this path that we're taking here that this is a lonely path. There are not a lot of people that really want to invest the time in grappling with difficult issues or studying. And so it's easy to judge, and it's easy to be mean, and it's easy to be dismissive. And I think that's wrong. So this path, is, I think that the only way to live your life is ethically and beautifully and morally and with love and with trust that God is ultimately just. And just to do your best. And again, that's just my own personal opinion. One convert to someone who I hope will convert, and I hope that the way that other Muslims react to this issue will not prevent you from delving into the most beautiful religion that exists and the most beautiful path to peace and love and beauty that I know. And the more we delve into these halakas and these chapters, it just underscores that and just makes my conviction that much more strong. So I don't know if that helps, but I just wanted to share that and and wear it or say it while I'm wearing my orange shirt, because with the orange shirt comes a little bit more bravery than normal. So anyway, and for whatever that's worth, I hope that you'll always think of this faith as the most elevated path to love and beauty, and there's no room for anything but that on this road. So anyway, inshallah, for whatever that's worth. And I'm so excited to continue with another amazing surah, number 63, right?